Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
Good morning, folks. Stir crazy. That's what I'm stir crazy. I'm so proud to be out of the house. I'm so proud to be in this studio. You just can't believe it. I don't know about you, but sit back and ride along with me this hour. Let's go for a ride. Let's get out of the house and let's do something progressive, and moving forward. Jonathan's going to take your calls at 888-227-2546. That's 888 Car Clinic, and put you in the queue, and I'm going to answer your car questions. You don't have to have a car question. Just call me, and let's talk about how to take care of your car and what to do when you're not using your car. Believe it or not, it's in worse shape when you're not using your car than it is when you're using it. I'll tell you all about that. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part this morning by O'Reilly Auto Parts. When your car isn't stopping like it used to, the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts will help you find the brake parts and supplies that you need to do the job right the first time. And for now, a limited time, save 15% when you buy a set of Brake Best pads. That's Brake Best pads and 2 Brake Best rotors. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Okay, let's get ready. 888 Car Clinic. As I said, stir crazy. Don't be stir crazy. Let's just have some car fun and discuss and have some fun. 888-227-2546 when I come back. Folks, you never want to get surprised by a dead battery. A vehicle's original battery generally lasts about 3 to 5 years, but many fail long before then. Next time you're in for an oil service, have the technician test your battery. Better now than too late. Today's vehicles have start-stop systems, navigation, radio amplifiers, electric fuel pumps, 25 or more onboard computer modules, and serious electronic controls that depend on a strong, fully charged battery. Make sure the car you're driving has a healthy battery. Make yourself a note. Go to autobatteries.com and see for yourself how a battery can keep you safely driving down the road or put you on the side, just like that. At autobatteries.com, you'll see battery technology, battery testing, how to choose the battery, how to jumpstart your battery, and more about AGM batteries, my choice. I'm not here to make you a battery expert, rather to help you better understand why a reliable battery is essential for your road trips. Go to autobatteries.com. All automotive parts are not created equal. In the service bay this week, a 2015 Mustang V8. Owner dealing with sluggish performance, poor fuel economy, and the dreaded check engine light. We retrieved trouble codes for the left bank O2 sensors, shorted heater circuit, and left bank's rich fuel mixture condition. Time for new oxygen sensors. The vehicle had about 150,000 miles, and its owner sheepishly admitted he'd always use the cheapest fuel he could find. Definitely a recipe for failure. We called the customer, recommended installing new Motorcraft oxygen sensors. The customer agreed, so We installed the new sensors, cleared the codes, and performed a road test. The fuel trims returned to normal, and the car ran great. No codes reset. Another quality repair using Motorcraft replacement parts. Motorcraft parts are specifically designed for all your Ford and Lincoln repairs and are backed by a limited 2-year unlimited mileage warranty, including up to $150 in labor and with no commercial exceptions. Motorcraft, right part, priced right. Learn more about Motorcraft oxygen sensors and other high-quality vehicle-specific parts at motorcraft.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P-Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. Your aroma calls me, it starts my morning. Happy morning, your name is Folgers Mountain Grow. Now you're here, your aroma helps me wake and the day is mine to take. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Well, thank God. I'm just glad that we're all here, and I really appreciate you tuning in every Saturday from 10 till noon on our stations, our Car Clinic affiliates across the nation. And also, I'll take this opportunity to share with you that the Car Clinic Network, that's our website, Car Clinic Network. It's all one word. Just go to carclinicnetwork.com, and you'll look on the lower right-hand side, and you'll see the Car Clinic Library /podcast, and you can downtune, you can subscribe, downtune. You can download, or you can use iTunes, which that's a combination of download and iTunes. In fact, we are on Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Podcast, Stitcher, Castbox, Deezer. One of these days I'm going to learn who Deezer is. I'll have to ask Jonathan who Deezer is or what company that is. These are all formats that you can download previous and programs. So if you didn't hear the answer to a show, you say, oh, gosh, I'm not sure exactly I understood what Bobby said. You can go to these formats and download the program, and you can subscribe, and it'll our show will download in the background, so you don't have to wait on it. And then last but not least is Podcast Addict, Chaser. So again, but the main one is iTunes and, of course, iHeartRadio. Those are formats. Let's go to the phones, and I invite you to participate at 888 Car Clinic. Here's the number to make it easy for you, 888-227-2546. Jim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. You're first to call, and you're first up. Welcome again. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Couldn't be better. I really just, everything is really cool, and as I said at the show of the open, now I pretended like I stay at home, but I'm still at work, but still after work or lunch or the breaks, I mean, it's different. Every Saturday we take off and go down to a local restaurant called Carmen's. They make the best soups, and it's the best, and of course now they're all closed, except companies will make food that you can take out, but it's not the same as sitting at a nice round table or a bar and having a glass of wine and a great lunch, But it is what it is, and this too shall pass. What can I do for you, my friend?
I got two questions, actually.
Okay.
I have an 05 Explorer, 6-cylinder, 2-wheel drive.
Okay.
And I'm having trouble with the check engine lights. It always comes up the same codes. I've changed all three throttle position, throttle body, all the sensors on there, even the fly-by-wire pedal sensor, whatever they call that thing.
Right. What code?
And I've changed all those. I've also downloaded the new software into the computer. We also ran a direct wire from the sensor to the computer, because they thought it may be a fray in the wire. Because I've done them, I've probably changed all the sensors, all of them at least 2 times, and yet it still keeps coming up check engine and the same codes pop up.
Well, here's what we do in that case. Now, you said you ran a wire from one point A to point B to a sensor.
I had a mechanic, a shop here in Ormond do it. They they just seem like a very reputable place.
Yeah, it sounds like if they know how to do that. Here's the challenge, though. And also, you said you downloaded new software. That shop did that for you, I presume.
We had to actually get a Ford dealer.
Okay. All right. You scared me there for a minute because, the way you put it, if our listeners were listening, this is, just like your computer, click the button and it does it automatically, and that's not the case.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Good. So you had your independent. It's a good independent there in Ormond Beach, and you had your Ford dealer, and you still have the same codes. What does the code call for? Is it you said sensor? Does it say that you still have the same sensor bad, and which sensor is that?
It says throttle position sensor and throttle acquisition
Actuator. Actuator. Yeah.
And there's one other one, but those are the two that come up mainly.
Okay. Let's face it, the throttle actuator is part of the throttle assembly, and then the throttle body, and then the throttle position sensor, the same one. You may have a defective. Now, I don't know that Ford Motor Company has this issue, but it is quite common with GM that throttle body assemblies are bad because there's electronics within the throttle body. And so
yes, sir.
You may have a defective throttle body, and I still have one concern, and you told me that they replaced a wire that ran from the computer to the sensor, an external wire, just because they weren't sure of that wire. And go ahead.
The reason they did that is they had found before. I mean, they've been working on the thing on and off for a while.
I'm sure.
The braid wire. And so they thought that possibly the wire was something damaged inside the tube or whatever where it runs. As a mechanic, I make a pretty good hurricane shutter repair guy, so I don't really know.
Gotcha. All right, well, say, Jim, here's my concern. Number one, it's very, very unusual to run another wire from point A to point B.
Correct.
And I say that because those wires... because a wire has a wire should have no resistance, no ohm resistance, and if they determined that the wire was chafed or there was a reason, let me back up. If they determined there was a valid reason, just via diagnostics or for whatever reason, to run another wire, if one wire is damaged, whatever damaged that one wire, I can assure you didn't go in and choose that one wire. There may be other wires that are damaged, and to that end, sensors rely on two wires. And there's some that have three or more, but like an air mass sensor has 5 or 6 wires. But the bottom line is a sensor has a voltage reference signal. And a voltage reference signal is like let's go back to the old days of a stoplight bulb. You got 2 contacts. You got one contact that supplies 12 volts to the bulb, and then you got another contact that goes directly to the ground. I mean, that's your old-fashioned. You understand that, right? Okay.
I do understand that stuff.
All right. So now.
I understand old stuff. I used to be able to do this.
Okay. All right. So now, here's the way it works. The sensor gets a reference voltage of 5 volts, and then the sensor through its design sends back and has a ground, and depending on the position of the throttle and other inputs, that voltage reference will change. And I'll give you a good example. If you were standing at attention, I don't know if you're a military guy or not, but if you're standing if you're standing at attention and your arm's right down to your side, right? Now let's say that you move your arm straight up to 90 degrees from your body. And let's say that it took 5 volts for you to go from at attention to moving your arm straight up and straight out from your shoulder. And that's 90 degrees or parallel with the earth. You with me so far?
I am.
All right. So I'm going to send you 5 volts. but you don't move your arm all the way up. You move it halfway up, which means you only use 2.5 volts because you only went halfway. You went 45 degrees instead of 90. Now, I know where your arm is, and that's how sensors dictate or relay information and report information to modules and like road speed and like especially like an air conditioner vent inside the dash. The sensor says the vent door is at 50%. Well, why do you want to put the vent door at 50%? Because you're dictating the temperature. You're splitting between heat and cool, so you can dial 60 degrees, 70, 80. You see where I'm going. So, having said that, if there's a reason to replace a wire, whether it was the ground loop or the 5-volt reference loop, that person that replaced that wire had to have some indication. And it's my concern that you've got a wiring harness problem and not a sensor problem. And so that calls for what we call, and this shop's going to know this, but anyway, it's good for you to know this because you can talk with them next week. It's called a pin-out test. A pin-out test means that you've got one terminal at the computer, the other wire ends at another termination at the sensor. But when it's hooked up, do you know how it works? So you use very small, tiny pins that slide into the harness while it is in place and measures and watches what goes on. So it's kind of like a spy camera, except you're doing a real ohms-resistant pin-out test, and you can disconnect the wire harness from both ends and then run an ohms test from wire number 384 or from whatever to the terminal that it ends and see what the ohms resistance is. So I would urge you to go back to the service shop and, number one, check for the throttle assembly, and then I would also ask you to ask them to check the ohms resistance and the voltage reference and then go from there. Anyway, good luck, Jim. Thank you so much for calling. And folks, there's a hard break. I'll be back. Take more calls. Don't go away. Cooling system repairs, we've all needed them. But what happens when that local mechanic or your garage is miles away? Situations like this were made for K-Seal, a pour-in solution that helps stop cooling system leaks. Other sealers use sodium silicate, which can clog the system. K-Seal features ceramic technology designed to repair the leak without clogging. Tough times create the need to be prepared. Make K-Seal part of your emergency road kit. K-Seal is available nationwide at stores like Walmart. Check walmart.com for store hours and shipping options. As we kick off National Car Care Month in the midst of COVID-19, making sure your vehicle is road ready has never been more important. The Car Care Council remind you it's the perfect time for a thorough check of various vehicle maintenance items, like brakes, batteries, tires, cooling system, filters, headlights, and the exhaust system. Visit carcare.org to find out how you can best keep your vehicle safe and dependable. It's National Car Care Month. Are you Car Care aware? Learn more at carcare.org. That's carcare.org. Our inbox has been especially full these past few weeks as people are looking for advice regarding keeping their vehicles road ready. Jim from Dallas wrote, "What can I do to make sure my vehicles are prepared and ready to go?" Jim, the economic impact of the current health crisis has touched every hardworking American. Making your dollar stretch further is more important than ever before. Commuting to grocery stores and other essential outlets has changed the way most Americans drive. Shorter trips and lower operating temperatures can increase the probability of carbon buildup in your vehicle's engine combustion chamber. Look to Berryman products to help maintain optimum performance and MPG. Berryman's intake valve and combustion chamber cleaner is a simple-to-use kit that can truly add fuel economy, better performance, and longevity to your vehicle's engine. Regular use of Berryman B12 fuel system cleaner can assist you in maintaining a clean and healthy fuel injection system. Check out Berryman products' complete line of maintenance and cleaning products designed for do-it-yourselfer and professional technicians alike at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
The airlines like to have sales. Summer getaway sales, holiday sales, winter sales. Truth is, at any moment, some airline somewhere is on sale with low fares to great destinations. Travelocity knows exactly what's going on, who's on sale, to where, and when, at over 700 airlines worldwide. We even have this nifty feature that lets you look at a calendar so that you can see exactly the days the great fares are available. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere. AOL keyword, travel.
Hun, guess my temperature.
It's 2 a.m. Go to sleep.
Come on, one guess.
I'm 98.
Higher.
Higher at 99.
You're getting warmer. Wait, I'm getting warmer.
Cold symptoms keeping you from getting a good night's sleep? Get NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, fever so you can sleep better to feel better medicine. Use as directed.
One more guess.
100?
Yes. Tell her what she's won, Bob.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, brought to you by Berryman Products. You hear me talk about Berryman Products. You won't believe this, folks. Yesterday, well, no, I'll take that back. Thursday, not Friday, but Thursday of this week, we had a young lady that comes from Lafayette. I hope I'm pronouncing that. Is Lafayette or Lafayette? Lafayette, Louisiana, on her way to Gainesville. And so when she goes from Louisiana to northwest Florida and to Gainesville, she'll stop by here. This week she stopped by and we serviced her vehicle. And she says to my service manager, "Are you using the Berryman product?" And so I, being the soul that I am, I actually had a Berryman product that Berryman sent me, and I gave her a can of Berryman product to use for her garage doors, and she was just thrilled to death. But I just think it's so telling and so interesting that someone would drive and stop on their way from point A to point B, from Louisiana to other side of Tallahassee, Florida, a long way, and have me to service the automobile. Of course, Berryman's been helping consumers and repair shops alike since 1918 with solutions that help maintain and improve drivability. So when you get a chance, folks, don't be stir crazy at home. Drive over to berrymanproducts.com for more information. Great company and great products. And yes, we do use them at Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Let's go to Georgia. Take a call from Ed. And then we're going to go to William and Mike and the folks. 888 Car Clinic is the number. Ed, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Great, Bobby. Great to hear you this morning. I always learn something every time I listen to you. You're like the professor of automotive science, man. I tell you, I always learn something when I listen.
Well, right back at you, because every time I have conversations with folks on the air, number one, there's no dumb question. The only dumb car question is one not asked. And Ed, I learn as well. And when I don't know the answer, of course, I said, why don't I know the answer? So during the week, I'll go learn the answer. But what's on your mind today?
Well, I'm looking while everybody's in and not able to get out and about. I want to look in the future a little bit. I know we're going to get past all this health crisis.
We are.
But in the future, I know you're, and I am too, always grown up around drag racing and powerful V8 engines, and I know you're a V8 guy. But the future of electric vehicles, I'm sort of amazed by the development of electric vehicles, and it seems the Tesla seems to be kind of the leading edge. And
sure.
So I want to get your view on that. And for you personally, I know you're an hardcore, ingrained V8 guy. Would you ever make the leap to an electric vehicle? And what would it be? The factor be to push you over the edge to go that direction? Give me look in your crystal ball for the future of electric vehicles. And I know batteries are that's the ever-changing factor right there. But give me your view in the future of electric cars and what would push you to get one.
Okay. That's a great question, and you hit me right between the eyes, because in 2000 and 2012, I spent 9 months to spec out an XJL extended wheelbase Jaguar luxury car that I decided to buy. My car it now has 71,500 miles on it. I just put tires on it this week, and I finally went away from the Dunlops, and that was another story that I spent about I guess 2 weeks studying the properties and reports and miles driven on tires, and so I have literally only three trips from my office to home and back, so I only have like 25 miles on these tires, but I love them, and I made a good selection. But that's not to say
I have seen that. I have seen your car, Bobby. That is a phenomenal car.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I had it specially made. Now, to that end, it has a 11.5 to 1 compression ratio V8 5-liter, and it is very fast. It has an 8-speed German transmission in this Jag that shifts with the best mapping of any automatic transmission I've ever driven. And I mean, it's unbelievably acute and accurate, and shifts on time. So for me to shift from my vehicle where I can paddle shift and or let the car shift on its own using the good torque of that V8 engine, and also it has, like Porsche and like Mustang, it has a tube that connects the throttle body, not the throttle body, the intake horns. It has dual intakes over to the firewall. So under duress, under a moderate throttle, you get this guttural sound that I thought when I first drove it was an exhaust leak or some whatever, and then I learned that it's not. It was a quiet vehicle that also gives you that sound of that V8 engine, and that's what they use. They use diaphragms like a stethoscope, and when there's pulse waves within the intake system of an engine, which there always are, that make noise. And so when you put all that together, it makes for a nice quiet ride until you want to leg it out, and then you get that guttural sound. So it gives you the best of both worlds. Having said that, that car now, my car, is outdated. As of 2020, the XJL will no longer be manufactured, and Jag is going to come out with a replacement that's going to be an EV. So, Ed, I'm anxious to see, number one, the look of the EV. I'm not going to say I'm going to trade my car, but it is paid for. It has 71.5, and it's all as new. But here's the point. You mentioned batteries. So I believe, and there's a company right now, the companies, but one specific company that's working on a solid-state battery. A solid-state battery can be charged in 1/10 or 20% of the time of an AGM or a liquid battery, just because of the way that there's nothing to. Anyway, I don't know technically, so I won't get into that, except to say this: when the holy grail of the battery is reinvented, which it will be a solid-state battery. Okay, that's number one. That means that you don't have to worry about driving from Pensacola, Florida to where you live in Georgia there and having to stop and get the charge on the way. And if you do, by the time you go in and take a bio break and get a cup of coffee and come back out to your car, it's filled with charge. So having said that, I will consider and am considering looking at a 2021 Jaguar that's going to be an EV car. I understand they're going to make it a 5-door hatchback, so I'm not sure about that. But if they copy the Panamera Porsche, and I'm not a Panamera Porsche guy, but Porsche makes an E-Motion. That's the name of their car. I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen a picture of an E-Motion, which is an EV car that Porsche has designed?
Yes, I have, Bobby.
I think that car is drop-dead gorgeous. It looks like a cross between a 911, 4-door 911, and a 4-door Panamera and a crossover, but it's got the smooth line. So if of course, Ian Callum is no longer with Jaguar. He retired. So I'll hold judgment, let's just put it that way, on the new Jag. But if the new Jag comes out EV and it has the Holy Grail battery or a 400-mile range, and here's the caveat, luxury. if it's only thing I do not like about Teslas is they're stark on the interior. They're like a spaceship except no frills. And so for me, I like the leather, I like the wood, I like the soft ride, and I like all that gorgeous, UK interior, like the Bentleys and the Rolls, and so my car is a miniature rendition. It's a poor man's Bentley, is what it is, and I can tell you, and I'm not a poor man, but it is, and so I can't wait to see the new 21. So all I can say to you is, I'm with you on all counts, but I'm waiting to see what's going to happen. Now, to that end, we are definitely going to see a change in social behavior, and we are seeing that today, and there's going to be some, not fallout, there's going to be some changing of how we conduct our lives when we get back to normal. So we'll all have to wait and see what happens there. I'm not worried that we're going to get past the COVID-19, but I am anxious to get past it. In the meantime, as I opened the show this morning, stir crazy, I think a lot of people, I tell you what, folks, if you're in business out there, you better hold on, because the Americans, I don't know about the other countries, the Americans are absolutely you're going to see business explode once we get back to the other, and on the other side of this. Ed, thank you so much for your call and for listening to my rant about EVs. You stay tuned, because we're going to see what's going to happen on both ends of the spectrum, both with the COVID-19 and what happens afterwards, and with the EV world as we know it. You got it?
I got it, Bobby. Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Thanks. Take care. Let's go from Georgia to William in Nebraska. William, thank you for holding. We do have a break coming up, so I may have to interrupt you, but let's get started. How are you this morning, and welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
I'm doing good here, Bobby. I've got a 2012 F-150 Super Crew. I've been having trouble with the seat heater, the air conditioner on the seat also. It's just intermittent. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't, and
yeah.
I looked underneath. Someone told me, I read on a forum, underneath the passenger seat, that there's a module under there where the connector goes into the module, can get hot and cause a problem. I pulled that all apart. It had not gotten hot, and put it all back together, and I'm back to where I was. It just does not work every time.
Let me ask you a question. Does that vehicle have the factory side mirrors on the outside?
It does.
Okay. And the reason that I ask that question is that we had a vehicle, I think it was a 250, come in, and the young man that owned it had replaced the exterior mirrors with larger mirrors. I mean, it was like a tow truck, but it really wasn't a tow truck. He just modified this truck because he liked to do things to it, jacked up the body and all that. Anyway, the digital readout inside didn't work. The air conditioner, well, it came in because the air conditioner didn't work. And what had happened was when he replaced the mirrors, I told you the heartbreak was coming up. I'm waiting on that. Hey, that's okay. We got the longest part of the show is still to come up, so don't go away, William and Mike and Tim. I'll be back. With 48 years experience in automotive repair, our service team knows what dirty gasoline does inside an engine. Over time and miles, fuel residue and hot oil vapors create nasty, hardened clusters of carbon that block airflow into cylinders, collect on valves, and build up inside combustion chambers, causing hard starting, rough idle, sluggish engine performance, and bad gas mileage. Solution? Berryman B60 High Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator. B60 cleans the entire fuel system of all high-mileage gas-powered vehicles with powerful detergents and HEST solvents. That's high-energy solvent technology at work. B60 gives you one-tank cleanup of fuel injectors, intake valves, and combustion chambers. Restore lost power, reduce rough idle, improve fuel economy, and enjoy your drive again. Berryman B60 High-Mileage Fuel System Rejuvenator is the only fuel system cleaner with HEST solvents. Pick up a can at your local auto parts store today. For more, visit BerrymanProducts.com. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Waking up can be a chore, but mornings knocking on my front door. Know just what I'll do. Put on a pot of Folgers brew. Mountain grown aroma hits the spot. Helps me give all that I've got. An opportunity to start out smiling and happy. The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
I'm privileged to be involved with Capstone Adaptive Learning, formerly known as United Cerebral Palsy, for over 25 years. Since 1953, Capstone has provided quality care programs for persons with developmental disabilities like autism, cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, and intellectual disabilities. Dr. Sherry White with her team are dedicated to Capstone's clients, and 100% of your contributions stay local to serve those in this community. Go to capstoneadaptivelearning.org to see the difference Capstone makes.
Technology moves at the speed of innovation, and today, that's lightning fast. So when you get your hands on the latest tech, don't forget to do the right thing with your old devices. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old tech device as easy as purchasing new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the responsible recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find lots of tips to simplify your recycling, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Television sets, video game consoles, smartphones, tablets, they're all recyclable. Don't let them clog up your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org. You're sharp enough to get the latest tech tools into your home. Now be responsible enough to get your old devices to the recycler. That's greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And thank you for your patience, folks, and welcome back. And I want to take this time to thank our sponsors as well. Without our sponsors, this program would not be possible. So I realize that there's commercials as in every media, whether it's television, radio, or podcasting, and what have you. But we have a select group of partners. I call them partner sponsors. I'll tell you a little bit about Blaster. But first, I want to finish the conversation with William. But, Blaster, PB Blaster, remember? Well, that's the makers of the best penetrant, since 1957. But let's get back to William, and then I want to share with you what one of our sponsors is doing in their own hometown of manufacturing. But first, William, let me share this with you. Or let me ask you a question. You've got an intermittent seat heater and AC problem. Do those both units fail at the same time?
I can't say that for sure because
Yeah,
I usually don't turn the AC on in the winter.
Right.
I cannot say for sure
Okay.
on that. So
Well,
the lights light up, on the dash when you turn it on.
Right.
They all work because it's got 3 levels: high, medium, and low.
Right.
So.
Well, here's the reason I ask that is there is one module that controls both of those units. I mean, think of it this way. If you've got a radio that doesn't work, and you've got maybe turn signal flashers that don't work, and you've got another electronic component that doesn't work, and you've got the key off, well, they don't work because you have to have the key turned on. So, so what is common, and what I was trying to put together is what would be common to the seat heater and the AC, and there is one. And so if you've got a pen, write this down. It's called B as in Bobby, BCM, Body Control Module. A body control module is the computer black box that controls both of those AC systems and the seat heaters and other accessories within the car as well. So you can have a defective body control module, and in order to determine that, you would need to take it to a master ASE certified technician or the dealership there in Nebraska. Where are you from in Nebraska?
Well, Lemoyne or Lake McConaughey.
Right. Yeah.
Our
Okay.
garage would be in Ogallala.
Right. I got you.
I mean, it's pretty rural out here.
Yeah, I know it is, and but here's the point: you need to find a shop, and you hear me talk about asashop.org. You can go to ASA, that's Automotive Service Association, asashop.org, and you can put in your address. And then you can find a shop, and then from your own home you can call and ask these folks that own these garages, independent, or a dealer, if it's more convenient. It depends on what's the closest to you, if they can reprogram cars, or if they are familiar with and have the software and hardware to test body control modules. And they're going to be really shocked that William would say, how do you know about a body control module? And that will open up doors for you, because it'll open up a conversation with a local service shop that will be excited to be able to talk with someone that knows a little more than just, well, I'll put the key in and nothing works. So, and not belittling consumers, but you're not supposed to know about body control modules, but that's what I suspect that you've got a problem. Now, one more thing before I let you go. This truck that we had that came in had an AC problem. And the AC problem stemmed from the fact that the owner had taken the original mirrors off and replaced the mirrors with an aftermarket mirror. Well, the right passenger's outside mirror is where the where the temperature gauge was, the sensor for the interior AC. And so, yeah, I mean, is that not the weirdest thing you've ever seen? And Johnny Bars, mastermind, he's my Jedi. Johnny Bars found the issue, traced it, and you talk about tracing circuits, traced it to the mirror, and of course that wire was just left disconnected because the aftermarket mirror didn't come with that sensor. And so the owner just put the wires together that plugs in the motor of the mirror where the mirror would work, but not the sensor. And so what he should have done was to, I guess the aftermarket mirror company should have supplied a sensor with it, but it didn't come that way. And the bottom line, we put the original mirrors back on the car and fixed the air conditioning system. Now, it's not the darndest thing you ever heard.
That's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. I mean, you never know.
You
never know. So find you a shop that is, and have this conversation with the shop, and understand the worst thing in the world to find and fix is erratic behavior of electronics, because a computer can do that, or a sensor can do that, or a wire. In fact, the first call we had was a gentleman that had that same kind of issue. But anyway, hey, thank you for calling, and I wish you the best. I hope that I've helped you.
Hey, can I say one more thing?
Quickly, yes.
We got together and started driving our cars on the weekends again just because of this COVID. And it was just a blast. We have a small town, and we were driving up and down the highway. It was just like, wow, everyone's out. We kept our distance, but in our cars.
Well,
I'd like to see more of that again.
I'd like to see more of that again. And to that end, I just heard of a club from North Carolina that is doing the same thing. Thank you for even mentioning that. I really appreciate it. Thank you, William. And thanks for calling. Good luck when you're forward. So Ford. So speaking of the COVID virus, I spoke to you earlier about the Blaster. Here's what our partner sponsor Blaster is doing. They're donating hand sanitizers to the local first responders, and that's the Blaster Corporation is the maker of the penetrant PB Blaster. Now you remember. And they announced recently that they're donating cases of hand sanitizer to dozens of local police and fire department. And the company really began sourcing and producing hand sanitizer in response to requests from its essential hardware retail customers, and decided to manufacture additional sanitizers for donation. In total, the company will produce more than 22,000 bottles of sanitizer specifically earmarked for donation. But PB Blaster, or Blaster Corporation, went a step further. In fact, Randy Pendor is the president and CEO, and he says, and I'll quote him, "Police officers and firefighters are among those on the front lines of the pandemic here in Ohio. They are our fellow Rust Belt warriors and true heroes in crisis moments. Many departments indicated that they have been struggling to find hand sanitizer for their first responders. It's our honor to help them in any way that we can. And folks, that's a big deal. So I want to congratulate the folks at Blaster and Randy as well, Randy Pendor, the president and CEO, for putting together cases of hand sanitizer. They even gave their employees each a case of hand sanitizer to take home. And then they went to 2 other companies there in Ohio. Label Aid out of Huron, Ohio, donated the labels, and Jamestown Container in Macedonia, Ohio, provided the boxes at no charge. So that's what kind of, that's what really hits my hot button, and what I really appreciate about our sponsor partners is they're there to help you. And in this situation of the COVID, we all need to consider the same thing. So a special thanks to our folks at Blaster. When you get an opportunity, I'd love for you to write a letter to, that would be really neat, to write a letter to Randy Pendor there, who is the CEO at PB Blaster. But if you don't, that's okay. But go to blastercorp.com, blastercorp.com, and take a look at all their products and maybe call them and thank them. I thank them. Let's go to Mike. Mike, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Hey, Bobby, how you doing? Good to hear you.
Thank you.
I do
likewise.
have 2 cans of PB Blaster in my garage shop. Hey, I bought my 08 Toyota Avalon from Frontier Motors. I took it to you, and you zeroed everything out, and it's going to be just about due. But there's one little item now that seems to have cropped up. Whenever I come to a gentle stop or take off very gently, I can feel a little click. You can't hear it. You have to be very careful, and it's a light. You know, if you get on the gas too hard or get on the brake too hard, as you're coming to a stop, you won't feel it.
Okay.
So when I bring it in,
here's what. Wait. Here's what I want. What is what I want you to do? I want you to crank it up in your driveway. Go drive it first to make sure that it's still clicking, because it could be temperature related. So maybe drive it around the block. You said, okay, it clicks. I know it does. And I feel it. And, which you're familiar with it, and you're a car guy anyway, so you're very very up with. Now, I want you to trick the car. I want you to put the car in reverse in your driveway and ease back, and then I want you to put the car in drive and ease forward. And I want you to tell me and yourself if you can make that click occur by shifting from reverse to forward gears. You see what I'm now? If you can duplicate that, then more than likely you're going to have. I mean, you could have a CV joint, but I doubt it. You could have, well, let's see, an engine mount that I'm suspecting. I'm suspecting it's an engine mount, but if it is an engine mount, or like that upper strut that it takes all the load, well, actually it's on the lower side of your engine, but it takes all that load. That strut is due. It's an 08 model automobile, so all the motor mounts are due. But if you can click, 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 click at will by going from reverse to forward, which shifts the load on the motor mounts and aggravates that problem, then you'll save you save $100 in diagnostic time. I can tell you that. You got it?
Yeah. Well, and the car had when I bought it from Frontier, you guys inspected it and everything, and apparently it had an underneath car incident, and West Florida had to pull off the front end to straighten it out and get it done. It wasn't apparent upstairs at all.
Right.
And they
I got you.
Replaced the front cross member, but I'm wondering if that may have kind of exacerbated the problem.
Could have. Could have. Well,
so
okay.
Anyway, I'll bring it in.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So that sounds great. But do that forward and backwards motion, and then when you bring it in, you'll be able to say, "Hey, watch this. What happens when I do this?" And then you save all that time and save all that money. Hey, thanks for your call, Mike. And let's take another call from Tim in New Mexico. Tim, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Glad to have you join us this morning.
Good morning, Bobby.
Good morning, sir.
Calling again from Alamogordo, New Mexico, like I called last week. The price of gas today here is $1.44.
Don't you love it? hey,
crazy.
Well, just like the gentleman just said from Nebraska, everyone there in the little town of Nebraska, they're getting their car. Not everyone. They're a select group are getting their cars out and driving their cars on the weekend. And I've got some information that I'm going to share in the next hour from one of our partners about what to do for your automobile. In fact, it's the Car Care Council. But I don't have time to get into that right now. But I'll tell you, Tim, the worst thing you can do is to have a car question and not call me. Next to that would be to have an automobile and not drive it, because cars don't like to sit. And in fact, the old saying, you've heard this, we've all heard this, this is a great used car salesman. This is a great car. This car's only got 5,000 miles. It's 20 years old. And the little old lady that only drove it back and forth to church on Sunday. Well, I can tell you right now, every motor mount, every rubber part, every seal, and you better not drive that car cross country because it'll break down on you. It's better to exercise. And Tim, you know this, if you were to put your healthy arm in a cast for 6 weeks and then take the cast off, the muscle would atrophy and you wouldn't be able to. Is that not right? I mean, you know.
Exactly.
I mean,
right.
really. What do you drive?
I called last week about my Volkswagen Jetta. I just got it. I mean, I got it 2 years ago. I love it, but I drive it regularly, and lately I've been starting the car every other day just to keep the battery up and keep the lube and all that.
Right. Well, I sure appreciate your call, and I appreciate it. And then, did you have a question for me, or are we done?
No, I just wanted to update on the gas price.
All right.
I was sitting here bored.
All right, appreciate it. I love it to hear from you. So stay tuned and give us a call next week and keep us posted. We'll watch this progress, and then by tuning into Bobby Likis Car Clinic, and we get information from Alamogordo, New Mexico, and then from North Carolina, and then from Washington, and then from New York and Washington State, then we'll be able to see what's going on, and we'll just use this as a forum to report where we are with the COVID, where we are with gas prices, and I just really appreciate that. It gives me a purpose, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy, and I thank you so much, Tim. Have a great week and be safe. Let's go from New Mexico to, well, you know what? We just don't have time. So Delbert is on the phone with a 99 Ford with an overdrive issue from Oklahoma. I don't have time left in this hour to take your car questions. So Delbert, I want to ask you to hold through the top of the hour, because we got a second hour coming up. So folks, I just absolutely appreciate and really enjoy our time together. And just want to share with you that every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time, you can tune in to your favorite AM and or FM radio station and pick up this program. Some of our stations delay this hour, so it's a little later in the day, but make no mistake about it, from 10 till noon Eastern Time, 888 Car Clinic, I'll be on the other end of that. And I'll see you after the top of the break for the second hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Likis, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Folks, there are a lot of things going on behind the scenes in a repair shop beyond diagnosing cars. Sometimes technicians get caught up in a repair that just keeps needing more. Recently, an 05 Saturn came in the shop. A 15-year-old car, 150,000 miles. Our young customer was dealing with a coolant leak, a slow, steady drip on the engine area on the driver's side. After a cooling system pressure test, we determined the lower radiator hose was leaking. We replaced the lower hose, topped off the system, and parked the vehicle. All good. Upon prepping for pickup the next day, you can imagine our disappointment to see coolant leaking from the right side of the radiator. A $500 repair. Our solution? A bottle of K-Seal, which can cost under $20. K-Seal features ceramic technology and is designed to repair leaks without clogging. One bottle completely solved the problem, sealed the leak within 10 minutes. K-Seal is available at fine retailers everywhere, like Napa Auto Parts. So when you have a cooling system that has a leak, don't just seal it, K-Seal it. For more information, go to kseal.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
If you're familiar with the cultivated section of the newspaper, you probably understand this message quite well. You see, in the cultivated section, everything gets abbreviated. Consonants, vowels, prepositional phrases, the very building blocks of our language are thrown right out the window. And that makes it difficult when you're trying to sell your car. You've got a limited amount of space to work with, and by the time you abbreviate the description of your car down to a couple of fragmented sentences, it sounds less like a car and more like a Bluck sedan with sniffed like new condition lemals. No wonder more people are selling their cars through eBay Motors. They can post unlimited text and photo descriptions, and with a nationwide marketplace, they're likely to sell it for more. Plus, both parties can be covered by eBay's Vehicle Protection Program. Buyers are happy, sellers are happy, and no one's abbreviating. eBay Motors, a better way to sell your car.
Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 3-minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Bobby Likis Car Clinic begins at 6 minutes after the hour. Countdown to 1 minute mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 30-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Countdown to 10-second mark. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, mark. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. If you have a car question for Bobby, call now at 1-800-264-5454, toll free from anywhere in America. And now, here's your host, Bobby Likis.
And I want to welcome you to the anti-stir-crazy Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So that's my theme for today. Stir-crazy, not me, not in your life. And I'll tell you what, folks, if you're just like stir-crazy around the house, let's talk cars and come along and ride with me for this hour. And by the way, this is our second hour of broadcast every Saturday from 10 till noon Eastern Time. I come to you and we talk cars and fuels and tires and almost everything. But with the COVID-19 upon us and that invisible enemy, one of the things that you can do is to use your car. We'll talk a little more about that as we go in the program. Right now, I invite you to call 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. And let's kick off the program with some things to do for your car to maintain it while you're not using it. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is brought to you in part by the Car Care Council. And wouldn't you know, April is National Car Care Month, and it's never been more important than now to keep your vehicle safe and dependable. I'll make it easy for you during the program, and also I'll make it easy for you at home at any time. Just visit carcare.org. That's carcare.org for a number of fantastic tools, including tips and service schedules, videos, and more. Carcare.org, 888 Car Clinic. Your calls when we come back. Don't touch that dial. Let's go. No stir crazy for me. Entertainment systems, backup camera, start-stop technology. Just a few of the electrical demands we put on today's cars. AGM, or absorbent glass mat batteries, are up to the challenge. Precision engineered for the ultimate combination of power, durability, and reliability. One advantage, how acid is handled. Where it's free-flowing in a traditional flooded battery, acid's completely absorbed in the glass mat separators of an AGM battery. So in the event of a crash, AGM batteries won't leak. For more AGM advantages from Clarius, go to autobatteries.com. That's autobatteries.com.
O'Reilly. When you need auto parts, O'ReillyAuto.com is just a few clicks away. We offer convenient options for you to get your parts quickly. Order online and pick up for free at your local O'Reilly Auto Parts store. We'll even bring it out curbside. Or you can have your parts delivered right to your door with free shipping on most orders over $35. Visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
You've heard me talk about Motorrad's leading the way with automotive thermostats, fuel, oil, and coolant caps. Now, Motorrad's using their expertise in Tier 1 OEM facilities to deliver advanced engine management solutions. Products like camshaft and crankshaft sensors, ignition coils, mass airflow sensors, even variable valve timing solenoids. And Motorrad's aftermarket products are designed and manufactured to meet or exceed original equipment specifications. Learn more about Motorrad products and industry-leading application coverage at motorrad.com.
These are the sounds of someone taking their eyes off the road. Texting while driving is more than distracting. It's dangerous. Do us all a favor. When you're on the road, stay off the phone. A message from CTIA, America's wireless companies, and the National Safety Council.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Another lending success story from LendingTree.com.
Car dealers like playing games. They play percentage points, they play markups, but I don't like playing with my money. So I got my auto loan through LendingTree.com. I filled out one simple form, a marketplace of banks and lenders competed over it, and I got 4 offers back within hours. After all, the car buying game is a lot easier to win when you're holding all the cards.
LendingTree.com. When banks compete, you win. For additional information and state license disclosures, please visit our website located at LendingTree.com.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to this segment of Bobby Likis Car Clinic. We're just going to kick off the program. I'll remind you that, there's a lot of us here that are stir crazy. But earlier in the first hour, during the first hour of Bobby Likis Car Clinic, a gentleman called from Nebraska, and he and a cadre of his friends got their cars out, and they're just driving. They're staying their social distance, and obviously, and they're driving on the weekends, and that's a great idea. So if you have some great ideas for that you would like to share with our listeners across the nation and across the world, we're global at Watch Bobby Live, then by all means I invite you to call Jonathan. We'll take your call at 888-227-2546. That's 227-2546, and put you in the queue, and I will put you on the air. So let's kick it off. We're going to go to Oklahoma. Delbert, thank you so much for your patience. I know you've been holding for about 25 minutes. So welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. The mic is all yours.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just calling. I've got this 99 Ford, and it's gas motor, 4-wheel drive. Okay. And I can hit a bump going down the road. It's just not fast, not a big major bump. And the switch comes on the overdrive and flashes, and I have to pull over and turn it off and then reset and go on. And I've changed that switch out before. So I'm kind of wondering what it is.
Well, more than likely, it's where's that switch located? On the differential?
No, it's up here on my transmission selector right there at the end of it.
Well, you're talking about the push button switch. Oh, you're talking about the one on the gear shift lever. Oh, well, that's okay. Yes, that does give you the option to control the overdrive for towing and what have you. But that switch is only like a wall switch. It only flips the light on or off, or it sends a signal to the overdrive or not. So that there's much more to it than just a switch. Just like simplify it. Oversimplification would be you turn a light switch on in your kitchen, and you're making a connection to the electricity that makes the bulb work. But if the bulb doesn't burn and it's a new bulb, and the switch is okay, there's still wiring that goes between the two. So therein lies the challenge that you're going to have, because there's wiring involved between the gear shift lever and the control module that tells the transmission to go into overdrive or not. And then there's a solenoid. I suspect that you have a solenoid issue, and what I would do, and this is not for you to do, Delbert, but to find a local service shop and ask them to test the circuits for the overdrive solenoid that's going to be on the transmission itself, that actually energizes or works the transmission. It can be at the transmission. Now, having said that, let me ask you a question. Maybe not every time, but for the most part, if you took me for a ride, could you go over a bump and show me what it does, or is it just does it when it wants to?
Does it when it wants to.
Yeah, that's a problem. I knew you were going to say that, but I had to ask.
Yeah.
And therein lies that erratic electronic issue. So you got to find. Here's some things to put in your mind that will ultimately a technician has to trace circuits and fix it ultimately. So how do we? And that costs money. And how much money? Well, it's like, a shop said, okay, we charge you $90 an hour. Okay, well, how many hours does it take to find it, fix it? I don't know. It's like a needle in a haystack. I would charge you nothing to remove a needle from your haystack, but I would charge you by the hour to find it. Now, when you think about that, you say, hey, wait, I'm not prepared to give you a blank check. So here's what you can do to reduce your cost. And do this. Try to determine by temperature, by road, by wetness or not, if it's raining or not, at what point this ugly, erratic behavior occurs most often. And if you'll concentrate, the next time that it happens, if you'll concentrate on where you were, and if you had just fired up the vehicle and you just drove off from the house, or you'd been on the road for 15 minutes, and here's the scenario. Cold means after the vehicle has an overnight stand, so everything is all settled into the ambient temperature of wherever you got it, whether it's in the garage or outside. That's a cold. Warm is when warming up is about the first 6 to 15 miles that it takes to bring the oil temp and all the wires and all the underhood temp and the transmission fluid up to operating temperature. And operating temperature then is considered hot. I don't mean overheat, I mean hot. So that's 3 different temperatures that you will put in your mind. And then you will, next time this happens, if you were like 2 blocks from the house, you say, hey, wait, it was in a warm-up phase. You see where I'm going there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want you, in your mind, to determine when, if, of course, if is a big factor because electronic, when and if this event happens, and then if it's raining, and it may never happen in the rain, because if it's a wire with a bad contact or oxidized terminals, then maybe the rain could lubricate it, and just like if you got a car that misfires in wet weather, you just open the hood and take a bottle of Windex and start spraying all the wires, and you'll make a car misfire or not. If the car's healthy, you can spray everything under the hood with water. I don't mean in the intake, but everything. I wash my engine regularly, and I never have problems. So anyway, those are the things that I would remind you to do. Any questions?
No. I've only got one other deal on this same vehicle. I can park on just a small incline, and it won't come out of gear, but you can rock it back and forth, and then put your foot on the brake and pull the lever out, and then it'll go into drive or reverse, whatever you need.
Does the lever, when you say you can't pull it out of gear, okay, here's what I want you to do. That's a 99 model car, so it has a park lock. Are you talking about the stick won't come out of park, or the gear, or the lever won't come out of the park position, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's what I want you to do, and this happens occasionally, but not all the time. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. Make sure that there are no accessories turned on that vehicle.
Okay.
But with it in park, turn the key on, and wait till any bells or whistles go off. Leave the doors closed, okay? And the radio off. I never thought I'd say that. The radio off. All right, yeah, really. And what I want you to do is place your hand on the steering wheel or the steering column or on the gear shift lever and touch, and with the key on, and touch the brake pedal just enough to make the brake lights come on. You know how much that is, a little pressure, right?
Yeah.
Let off and touch it. And every time you touch the brake pedal, you should hear a... Every time, all cars, every time you touch the brake pedal, the same voltage that turns the brake lights on goes to the lockout solenoid, and that is the pin that, like a deadbolt, that keeps you from pulling it out of park until you foot on the brake. That really happened when Audi was supposed to run over some people, and that really never happened. I mean, that's another show, but really, they never proved that was true. But what that did do was, because engines crank and idle fast until the computer is happy, and the engine, so you crank a cold engine, it's going to idle 1,200 RPM, you put it in gear, whoa! What if you crank it up and it's already in gear, run over somebody? So the manufacturers then redesigned all cars so that you have to put your foot on the brake before you can pull it out of park. Well, guess what? Yep. There's a little electric solenoid, just like a doorbell. It's got a little solenoid, like a starter solenoid, except it's a miniature one, and it doesn't have much authority, which means it's not a big solenoid, because the pin that it retracts, that is deadbolting on the gear shift lever, that pin doesn't have a lot of authority. Here's what I mean by that. If I come to your house and you're going to open your front door and you've got the deadbolt, turned, and I'm pushing on your door, you can't turn the deadbolt with your hand because I got so much pressure on the pin. You see where I'm going there?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, same thing. You can take any car and pull on the gear shift. Not that you're doing this, but you can pull on the gear shift. You can take any car with the key on, pull on the gear shift, and then step on the brake, and you can't pull it out of gear because the pin says, hey, you got me under a bind here. So you let off the gear shift, and So again, I share this with you because on those rare occasions where it won't come out of park, you can determine if that pin is working by not trying to pull it out of park, but touching the brake and let off the brake. And every time you touch the brake, you're going to feel it. You got it? Good. I'm going to take another call, but I'll have to wait until I come back. In the meantime, it's a good time for you to get in. 888-227-2546. Call me. Spring has sprung, and with COVID-19 center stage, it's never been more important to be car care aware. The Car Care Council reminds you that April is National Car Care Month. Here are a few things you should consider as you prepare for the months ahead. April showers can bring hazardous driving conditions with slick, wet roads. It's a great time to make sure your brakes, tires, and windshield wipers are ready for the rain. Talking specifically about your brakes, how can you tell something's wrong? There are a number of signs. If your brakes are spongy or squealing, or if you can't stop without pumping, or other indicators include your car pulling to one side when stopping, your brake pedal sitting lower than normal, and your brakes requiring excessive pressure or grabbing with the least amount of pressure. Any of these symptoms mean you likely need your brakes inspected. For more great tips, videos, and recommended service schedules, visit carcare.org. And while you're there, order a free copy of the Car Care Guide for your glove box. That's carcare.org. Today's Repair Spotlight is for gasoline-powered engines with 60,000 plus miles. At this age and high mileage, vehicles can develop irritating small oil leaks that can make a mess and ultimately cause serious damage to engine and chassis components. The solution? Berryman's B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator. It's simple to use and safe for engine components like catalytic converters and oxygen sensors. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator cleans and protects the crankcase and engine oil system on all gas-powered vehicles vehicles, and conditions and revitalizes seals and gaskets to help stop oil leaks. Berryman B60 High Mileage Oil System Rejuvenator contains zinc-based ZDDP and molybdenum moly to help fight friction, heat, and wear. It helps prevent sludge formation to maximize engine performance and life. Don't put up with those pesky oil leaks. Add some Berryman B60 to your motor oil and add another level of protection for your engine. Learn more about Berryman B60 and other great products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Telephone tip.
From Geico Auto Insurance.
When calling Geico to switch your car insurance, you will not need acetaminophen, naproxen, indomethacin, ibuprofen, a cold compress, an on-call acupuncturist, or any other pain remedy. In 15 minutes, you could save 15% or more. If it were any more painless, you could do it in your sleep, which is theoretically possible since we offer complete 24-hour service. Call 1-800-947-AUTO, 1-800-947-AUTO. Geico Direct, the sensible alternative.
When you purchase the latest TV, tablet, or smartphone, don't forget to do the right thing with your old ones. Recycle them. The Consumer Technology Association and its members are making recycling your old devices as easy as buying new ones. Just go to greenergadgets.org, type in your zip code, and you'll instantly find the recycling location closest to your home. You'll also find recycling tips, like asking the store where you buy your new TV if they'll haul away your old one. Don't let your old tech tools clog your local landfill. Just visit greenergadgets.org.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to remind you, and we all are familiar with the COVID-19, but I want to remind you that, I talked about being stir crazy today, which I'm not, but if you are, all the more reason to give me a call at 888 Car Clinic. That's 888-227-2546. We are partnered with the Car Care Council, which is a non-profit organization that helps consumers take better care and better understanding of their automobiles. And with the majority of you folks living in areas of the country that have stay-at-home orders, the Car Care Council recommends that you start your car at least once a week and keep up the routine auto care to help prevent potential maintenance issues. And our good friend Rich White, who is the executive director of the Car Care Council, offers this advice. Just as it is recommended that people stay active during the time of social distancing, your car should get some activity as well. If your vehicle sits idle for too long, the battery could die, the tires can develop flat spots, and the engine oil may start to deteriorate. Just a short solo drive once a week and a little car care will keep your car running efficiently and safely. Those words from Rich White, our good friend and executive director of the Car Care Council. And in addition to his great advice from Rich, I want to share with you information that his organization sent to me to share with you. So take note of this, and if you don't have a way to write it down, you can always download our program on all of the different platforms, iHeartRadio and iTunes and CarClinicNetwork.com. But here's the list of items for you to be aware of during this COVID crisis. Battery. That's the number one thing, because everything starts, no pun intended, with a battery. And especially today's vehicles have several computers that are always in operation. So if a car sits too long without recharging, the battery could die within a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks. So it's easy. Now, O'Reilly Auto Parts has a battery tender. I just saw it on sale for $59.99. So that's a great buy for you, and I'd recommend one. Number 2 from the Car Care Council, tires. Maintain proper tire pressure to improve vehicle performance and gas mileage. Doing so is also important for vehicle safety, and I will tell you, if you don't drive your car, you'll get flat spots on the tires, and I had to put up with that on my tires for 70,000 miles until I changed tires this week, and I went to a different brand. But flat spot is the worst thing in the world for a tire, because it shakes like that. Eventually they'll wear out. When I say wear out, those flat spots, but during that time, not only is it uncomfortable to drive your car, but it also can cause damage to the tires. Fuel, another point from the Car Care Council. Today's engines help preserve the fuel systems, the life of the gas in your tank, and also prevent oxidation because they're sealed. But keeping a fuel tank of gas full helps limit gas tank deterioration. Why? Because there's wall exposed in the gas tank allows moisture to create. You don't want that to happen. So keep your tank filled with gas, and it's also just a good safety factor. It just feels good to know that when you get ready to go, you don't have to go buy gas. Oil. And this is a factor that most of you never thought about. If a car sits too long, the oil can deteriorate. So continue to change the oil at the proper time intervals, even if you're not driving the normal mileage. I mean, the Car Care Council nailed this. It's always best to check the owner's manual for the maximum time you should wait between oil changes. For Bobby Likis, 6 months. That's it. Brakes. I had this happen before on my classic Porsche. If a car sits idle, rust can start to form on the brake rotors, especially if the car's parked outside. So driving your car at least once a week will help prevent this rust buildup. And then last but not least, which always makes me feel great, cleaning. Remove the grime and the sediment that builds up on the outside of your car also helps prevent rust. And cleaning the interior is important. Mildew, if you live in a humid climates like we in Florida, that really can be an issue. Wipe down the dashboard, the steering wheel, the cup holders, door handles, the vents, and the console with a quality all-purpose automotive cleaner that will help disinfect the interior areas of your vehicle. Those tips from the battery, tires, fuel, oil, brakes, and cleaning, all from our partners at the Car Care Council. And one final note that you should do. Go to carcare.org. There's a book you can order for no charge. That's a glove box guide. It's a car maintenance guide that is chock full of information from our partners at the Car Care Council. Do it. Go there, carcare.org, and order yours today. Let's go to New York, take a call from Carol. Carol, welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Thank you for holding.
Oh, I wouldn't hesitate to do that. I have so many subjects that I want to talk about, and neither one of them has to do with the repair. But when you were talking about the Jag, and describing all the finer points of it.
Yes, ma'am.
I swear to God, I hallucinated the smell of leather seats. You had me raising off my seat when you were going through all those descriptions, and wow. It sounds wacky, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't, because when I picked that car up, and a good friend of mine, and a dear friend and customer of mine, Pat and Jean Clark, Pat went over to Mobile with me because that's the nearest Jag dealer, and I wanted to spend my money locally. So on the Gulf Coast, it was a Jag dealer in Mobile. He took me over to pick up my car, and I'd ordered it and waited 5.5 months, and I drove it back, and he and I drove it back. And I parked it that night in my garage. And Carol, I came out the next morning, and my whole garage smelled like leather. It was the most exciting thing. And it lasted. I bet it lasted 2 months or 3 months. And now when I go home, of course the car is 7 years old. When I go home,
what color are the seats?
The seats are white. The seats are white and black, and the dash is black. I had special interior, and the wood is a burl wood with I don't know how many coats of clear lacquer on it. It is drop dead.
They still put real wood in the car?
Oh yeah. Jag.
Oh wow.
Jag. That's what I was talking about. And unlike like GM, you look at a GM and they got wood grain applique. Now maybe now Cadillac may have. In fact, I drove a Cadillac one time, Miss Carol, that had, they decided to put everything in it, and they put leather, they put suede, they put carbon fiber, and wood. It was a Cadillac, electric Cadillac, that Cadillac sent to me to road test, and it was a hybrid, and I drove that car from Pensacola, Florida to the Villages, which is all the way down in South Florida, and I did that to film for the radio broadcast, the landing of the greater The Great Race. Have you ever heard The Great Race? Remember the movie in the 60s?
With Jack Lemmon? I think it was Jack.
Yeah,
Jack Lemmon.
I think it
Tony
was.
Curtis and Jack Lemmon.
Yeah. The Great Race. Well, they still have The Great Race, and they go from Maine. They went from Maine, and they go on back roads, and it's really an exciting event. And I was there to welcome everyone in to their destination, which was the Villages. And anyway, it was really exciting. So that was a great race. But getting back to, I don't know why we got off that, but getting back to my car, if I do buy a new car, a Jag, or an EV car, I will not buy the car and give up my luxury interior because I so much enjoy driving that car. Does that make sense? I know it makes sense because you got it.
Yes, it was phenomenal. But do you remember last week? I think it was last week. This lady, Sandy, had called and she was praising her mechanic because he gave her a recall sheet on some items. That she. Do you recall that at all? Was that last week?
I think.
You were so impressed by him that you told her to name the mechanic so he could get the credit.
Yes.
Are you ready for this?
Yes.
That place is 1.8 miles from my house because I drove it the other day. Because when she started saying north side, well, I have to say this. Our town is Johnson City.
Right.
There's so many people from this area that listen to your program. And when she said the keywords, north side, I go, my ears perked up, and I couldn't believe it. So when I was at the grocery store, which is a big grocery store right across the street from it, I drove it from my house to the Northside Automotive, 1.8 miles.
Well, I
probably know Sandy.
Well, you probably do. In fact, a gentleman actually, when you want a coat from me. A car clinic
yes,
jacket.
I have to make a comment about that also. Go
ahead. So a gentleman calls me, and he says, I live 20 miles from her. I could have won that coat just as easily. And let me share this with you. And folks, we're talking with Carol in Johnson City, New York. And I want to share this with you because that same lady, or maybe it was another lady, but I got this email, and I want to share it with you, Miss Carol, and also with our audience. The lady called her with a chiming noise in her 2014 Lexus. She said every time she would go by some place, the Lexus would go bing, 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 or something like that.
I heard that.
You heard it? Remember that? So here,
yes.
This is an email that I received this week. It says, Bobby. This is from Corey Toma. And Corey says, Bobby, I was listening to your podcast from last week when a lady with a 2014 that chimes as she drives by certain locations. That chime may be the SD memory card in the entertainment system. I believe this because I had favorite addresses to the SD card memory on my wife's 2014 GL 350, and the chime drove her crazy when she passed by those locations. She ejected the SD card and no more chiming. So I want to thank Corey Toma for sending that information. And I had, if you remember, I mentioned something, well, it must be a navigation system. And according to Corey's report and his wife's or SD card that had, certain addresses already plugged in. So I think that's really neat that we get the interaction between, and that's what really excites me. And I've got
I know, me too.
Okay, a heartbreak coming up. Any more comments before you got 30?
Well, I just want to tell you the jacket is wool, and I turned the heat down in the house because I wore the jacket around the house, and I was getting so warm in it that I had to turn the heat down. I didn't want to take it off. And I just want to say that logo on the front of the jacket is to die for. That is absolutely gorgeous. The jacket itself is worth the logo. The arms are too big. I have to figure out. I got to do something about the arms, and it's perfect because it's a bomber jacket for a man, which means it's really short.
Yes.
And it's a perfect length for me.
Wow. Thank you so much. And when I come back, I'll tell you a little story about that jacket and about the true love of mine that created that for me. Don't go away, folks. Folks, recently a 99 Chevrolet Blazer came into the shop. The owner was having problems with hesitation upon acceleration. He'd already changed out several parts: spark plugs, wires, ignition coil, mass airflow sensor, fuel filter, and the air filter element. He even changed the thermostat and coolant temperature sensor. Still had the same problem after putting a lot of money in this car, and he was frustrated. We dug a little deeper, cleaned the throttle body, and checked for trouble codes. No codes. So we recommended Berryman B12 Chem Tool. Carbon deposits and dirty fuel injector nozzles are a common problem with drivability in late model engines. We also recommended a higher quality gasoline. The customer noticed improvement on the first day, and only a few days and a few hundred miles later, the problem was completely gone. Berryman B12 Chem Tool features HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. The result is a more complete combination of available chemical technologies. Drive to BerrymanProducts.com for more information. That's BerrymanProducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
More than 1 million wild animals are killed each year illegally. Poaching is a major threat to our country's wildlife. I'm Tom Barry. I'm an actor with a desire to preserve living space for wildlife. The Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust does just that. Works with private landowners to protect wildlife, to preserve natural habitats. To learn more or to work with the Humane Society Wildlife Land Trust, call 800-729-SAVE. That's 800-729-SAVE, or visit wildlifelandtrust.org. Thank you.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
We're a land of cynics. We don't believe anything anymore. You know why? Because we've been told we've won $1 million, that it's new and improved, that it slices and dices, that our favorite singer is still alive, that we'll be prosecuted if we cut off the tags, and of course that everything is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So when we hear the words customer service, we don't believe it. Travelocity isn't surprised if you're a little skeptical when they say they have excellent customer service, and that there's actually a pleasant face behind this website, a living, breathing person with a supercharged computer full of answers. Someone who's willing to help when you get lost, and most of all, someone that will actually pick up the phone when you call with a question or a concern. Customer service is just another example of how Travelocity puts you in control of travel. Chances are you'll never have to use it, but it's good to know it'll be there if you need it. Travelocity.com. Go virtually anywhere.
And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
And welcome back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic. I want to share something with you from a personal note. And this is from a car guy. To all you car guys out there and car girls, listen up. Because at one point in time, as we grow, and let's say we're teenagers, and for me, I was always involved and loved automobiles and still have such a passion for automobiles. I'm very fortunate there because I get to share my passion with you every Saturday here on Bobby Likis Car Clinic. So at one point in time when I started to build race cars, and they weren't really race cars, they were hot rods that I would modify, and I broke more stuff than I fixed because I would try to get an engine to do things it wasn't designed to do, and I didn't know how to do that. I was not an engineer I didn't have the formal training. I said all that to say this. I used to think that unless you had Valvoline oil, I mean, that's just, I'll throw that name out there. Unless you had Valvoline oil in your engine, it couldn't possibly run correctly. And I was wrong. And then later on in years when I had an opportunity to spend more time with JOPE, that's the Joint Oil Analysis Program, which is the government organization that tests all lubricants and coolants for everything that flies, floats, or rolls in the world in military. I mean, JOPE. And a friend of mine, in fact, he bought my home, was in charge of that division. I said all that to say this. we all think in our minds, and we believe, like some technicians, that, oh, you put this spark plug in this car, it won't run right. In fact, I had a gentleman yesterday tell me that he had a Mercedes one time, and he put a Autolite plug in it, the car didn't run right. And I challenged him. I said, that's not true. And I have so many people that say, well, I put gas in my car, and it ran terrible, and I put a different gas in it and fixed it. And so I always say to those people that think they know the facts or the truth, give me your credit card and give me your car and let me go fill it with gas, and you tell me whether I put high test or low test or Shell or Chevron or whatever gas. You can't. So just be careful what you think you know. Now, I said all that to say this, and I'll get to the point here. Clarius. Clarius is a partner of ours. 1 in 3 batteries in the world is a Clarius battery. Now, one of the lines of batteries that Clarius produces and owns and offers in the market is an Optima batteries. They are superior. And I don't say that because I'm a teenager and I think they are. They are superior because when Clarius makes these batteries, Optima, they're 99.99% pure lead, and they'll last up to 3 times longer than a traditional flooded battery. This is an AGM battery I'm talking about, Optima batteries. I call them the ultimate power source, and you don't have to take my word for it. You can learn more at optimabatteries.com. So the next time somebody says, what kind of battery should I buy for your car? Should I have a flooded battery or about an AGM that Bobby talks about? The Optima AGM is a superior battery, and it's especially important that you know this now because we're not using our cars as much, and that battery can tend to drain because all of the electronics stay alive in that vehicle, and that puts a draw on the car. There's a draw, a parasitic draw on all cars. So an AGM battery will actually run longer, and it will operate better with shorter driving than a standard flooded battery. It's happier because it's superior. Take my word for it. Well, don't take my word for it. Go to optimabatteries.com. Let's take a call now from Randy, and also your calls next at 888-227-2546. Randy, thank you for holding. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Mr. Likis, I bow before your feet. You are radio royalty.
You're so kind. Your check is in the mail.
By the way, what a fantastic screener. What a pleasant gentleman. And I know why everybody, when they get on the line with you, when they get on the air with you, is usually in pretty good spirits. A really nice young man.
Well, to that end, we'll have to capture this air check and send it to his father, Teresa, and his mother. His father, Steve, his mother, Teresa Sloan. And I will tell you, he is a brilliant young man. And he is very articulate and very much attention to detail, and he is a significant part of our team in the production studio. So I don't have to tell him what you said because they listen in the control room to the program. So he may have the big head after the program, but knowing him, he won't, because he deserves your praise. But I really love to hear that, and his folks will love to hear it too. So what are we going to talk about on your car today?
Well, and I do want to tell you, I'm listening to you on KODY out of North Platte, Nebraska. They've carried your show for a lot of years.
A lot of years. I get people from KODY in North Platte. What is the main highway that goes by?
We're at the intersection, Interstate 80, which houses Old Highway 30, and then north and south Highway 83.
Well, I would get calls from KODY. And someone would call me, I'm from California, or I'm from, people will be traveling cross country. And when they do, they pick up me as they get close and leave near KODY. And I would get calls, and I would say, I don't have a station there, and they said, oh, I'm not at home. I'm in my car. I'm going through Nebraska. And it took me, I bet you it took me 2 months to figure out how I got so many calls from so many different states from one station in North Platte, Nebraska. But anyway, so what's up? What's up with you?
My question, and I'm comfortable asking you. Anyone else, I'd be embarrassed. I've been driving for a lot of years, millions of miles.
Okay.
And an automatic transmission has park, reverse, drive, first, second, and third gear generally.
Now, I have used first gear a time or two over the years, mainly in a four-wheel drive.
Okay.
But in all my years, all my miles, I don't think I have ever used second or third. Now, I have a mechanic friend of mine who the other day said, and I asked him I said, why second and third gear? And he says, you mean you don't use third gear? You should use that when you're driving through the mountains. Well, I hope you could shed some light on why there's a first, second, and third gear. I always just stick it in drive and call it good.
Well, for the most part, that's perfectly okay because you're using all those gears. But the reason you use first gear is first gear. I'm sorry. If you put the stick in drive, it will take off in first gear. Now, you know that because it's first, second, and third, and so on and so forth. All transmissions. So why do you need first gear? Because if you're going down a hill and you are going very slowly, you want to lock the car in first gear, because if you pull the gear shift lever into first gear, it energizes a separate set of clutches so that you can use first gear as if it were a standard transmission and use the engine to brake the vehicle. Whereas if you accelerate in first gear with the stick in drive and you let off in first gear, it will coast because of an override clutch overrun. So first gear is there to be used in those circumstances where you're having to go slowly down a steep grade, or maybe in the snow you want to go very slowly. Now, having said that, second gear is the same thing. You can put a transmission in second gear. So years and years ago is when all this happened, when automatics came out so that people could acclimate first, second, and third and those sorts of things. These days, like my car has park, reverse, neutral, drive, and S. And the S is for to energize the paddle shifters and what have you. So it doesn't have a first, second, and third, but it does have the paddle shifters. And when I've got it in S, I can shift any gear I want by using the up and down on the paddle shifters. So I still have total control. Well, almost total. No, nothing's total. But the bottom line is this. That's why first and second were designed that way. Now, so what is the difference between third and overdrive? Well, if you're in third gear and you're going in the mountains, then overdrive would never go into overdrive if your car is equipped that way. Or if you use second gear, then, and here's why. At one point in time as you're driving the car, the load on the engine would be reduced and it would upshift into third gear. And about that time you come to another little hill and it downshifts. So up, down, up, down, up, down. Drive you crazy. So that's why, depending on the topography of the mountainous or the hills that you're driving on, you have the option to use first or second or third. You got it?
Okay, very good.
Yeah. I thought you had a hard question there.
Well, I'm sure there's others that have wondered why those gears are in there, but that did answer a lot. Thanks, Bobby.
Hey, you're welcome. Thank you. Thanks for the kind words, Randy. So, and folks, I will share this with you. So I had a gentleman call me one day, and he said, Bobby, I've got a 2018, and Jonathan, you'll remember this, and Fabio as well. This gentleman called me on the air, and he's talking about his paddle shifter never worked. And remember that? And so I remember this because I had another gentleman that says, you and that person spent too much time, you're talking about that button, and I'll be darned if while we were talking, he didn't figure out, he was driving his car, he didn't figure out what that button was for that would give him the convenience of using the gear shift. And so he said, I can't believe this, we just fixed my car. He said, I've been driving this car 6 months and didn't know what that button was for. And I had another person call me and said, you chastised me. You spent too much time with that fellow. Well, you know what? That's okay, because number one, it's Bobby Likis Car Clinic, so I am the program. But it's not about me; it's about you. So if you have a car question or you want to talk cars, I'm your guy. I mean, I just love it. And I tell you what's really what I really think is important, especially now with COVID. And everyone, as I said earlier, being stir crazy. I want to share with you. You know, we have partners, we have sponsors that carry this program, And yes, I promote their products because their products are superior. I know because I use those products because I'm a car guy and I test those things before I ever share them with you. That's a fact. But I want to share with you now a message from one of our partners, and that's O'Reilly Auto Parts. And I've spoken of O'Reilly Auto Parts because we have an O'Reilly Auto Parts within a stone's throw of our facility here on Davis Highway in Pensacola. But this is regarding the COVID-19. So take a listen to the message that our sponsor, our partner, O'Reilly Auto Parts, gave to us to share with you today.
As we navigate the COVID-19 crisis, O'Reilly Auto Parts is dedicated to serving you. We've been deemed an essential business, so our doors will stay open. We encourage you to buy online, then pick up curbside. Together, we're committed to getting through this.
And there you have it. You see, you don't have to get in your car. You don't have to drive to O'Reilly Auto Parts. You can go to O'ReillyAutoParts.com, look at their store, travel through their store on the internet, order parts on the internet, and I just want to share with you that it just really is great that we have such a relationship with a company the size. O'Reilly Auto Parts has more than 5,000 stores. That's a big company, and they're concerned about you. And I wanted to share that message with you, and I appreciate our partner, O'Reilly Auto Parts, for their participation in Bobby Likis Car Clinic. And I really appreciate it when you call me, folks. It says, yeah, I went to O'Reilly Auto Parts and talked to their counterman, like you said, and I got some of those Sylvania bulbs, or which is one of my favorite parts that they offer. So just keep that in mind. And next time you need parts, go to O'ReillyAutoParts.com, and you will be able to select and choose, and they can deliver them. So hats off to O'Reilly Auto Parts. 888-227-2546. And also I want to take this opportunity to, Jonathan, you obviously are doing a great job, and I appreciate that, and so does our audience, Fabio, and John Irvin. So today, working the board under the guidance and the tutorial of Fabio is John Irvin. And John's doing a great job. I know that because all of our commercials are on time, and our volumes levels are okay, and the calls are placed into the queue and then put on the air on time. All the things that you don't see that go on behind the scenes here at Bobby Likis Car Clinic every Saturday are not automatic. There are real people that are pushing these buttons. So I'll take this opportunity to thank John. You're doing a great job. Hats off. And Fabio, who's training John, hats off to you. And of course, Jonathan, you already got your attaboy for today. So you already got your attaboy for the year. 888-227-2546. Recently, I mentioned Blaster. And I want to share with you some information about Blaster. And to that end, which they also are a partner sponsor of ours, they recently came out with Pro Straw. But I want to give you just a little information about the company. I actually gave to one of my neighbors a Blaster can this week of garage door lubricant. He said, "Is this the PB Blaster company?" I said, "Yes." So born and bred in Cleveland, Ohio, which is the heart of the Rust Belt, in 1957, William Wesley started Blaster Chemical Company by developing the original PB Blaster in response to a problem a friend was having with a phosphate, that's easy for me to say, for you, phosphate mine in Florida. Anyway, their mining equipment couldn't be taken apart for maintenance and repair because of the buildup of corrosion, phosphate, and moisture. Nothing could break through the corrosion until PB Blaster. PB Blaster is still the #1 selling penetrant. Check them out at blastercorp.com. Blastercorp.com. Until next Saturday, I'm your host, Bobby Likis. From 10 till noon every Saturday. Like us, you'll love us.
This is Bobby Likis Car Clinic. Bobby Likis Car Clinic is a copyrighted presentation of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated and may not be reproduced or rebroadcast without the express written approval of Car Clinic Productions Incorporated.
Insurance 101, courtesy of Grundy Insurance. Uninsured motorist liability and underinsured motorist liability are both important aspects of vehicle insurance, as they can protect you against an at-fault driver who is not insured or doesn't have enough insurance. Important to note, the definition of who's insured refers to people, not vehicles listed on a particular policy. So the uninsured or underinsured limits you select for your policy for your everyday cars will transfer over to you when driving your collector car. Find out more at Grundy.com. That's Grundy.com. You regularly hear testimonials on our program where everyday drivers share their experiences with products featuring HEST, Berryman's exclusive high-energy solvent technology. As we all work together to get past COVID-19, Berryman remains steadfast in their commitment to keep developing products necessary so everyday people are able to drive dependable vehicles. Products like Berryman B12 Chem Tool, which can help remove carbon buildup on the engine and improve drivability. Learn more about Berryman B12 Chem Tool and other great Berryman products at berrymanproducts.com.
You're listening to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
P. Ricey Outfitters, I'm Tina. How can I help you?
I'd like to place an order.
Great. Which item?
The cotton roll neck sweater, large.
Okay. Periwinkle, Loden, or caramel?
The caramel, please.
The what?
I'd like it in caramel.
Oh, the caramel?
Yeah, that's what I said, Tina.
Actually, you said caramel when it's pronounced caramel.
Can't we just call it yellow?
No.
Everyone knows the best part of a Milky Way. They just don't know how to say it. After all, it's our caramel.
It's caramel.
Ugh, that makes a Milky Way great.
You start my morning, you stir in my soul, you warm my heart, make me feel whole. You're